friends, 2 time zones, and a shared love of stories.
I'm Freya.
And I'm Jamie.
Bridging time zones 1 chapter at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Time Zone.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Once Upon a Time Zone. Today we have a little bit of a different episode and one we are very, very excited about because I kind of feel like you guys have been part of this journey already with us. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into The Way of Kings, which Jamie and I both completed recently in the beginning of August. So we thought it was only right to do a big deep dive with you guys. And I feel like in the comments you were very much like our support system during this. Mm-hmm. So we very much appreciated that.
Yeah, can I also, I am still so shocked that we were able to pick this book up at the same time. Like, the fact that this book has been staring at both of us from our shelves, and we've just been, like feeling so scared to read it, and then all of a sudden, within the same day, because I realized I thought you picked it for your TBR the day before I did, but you're also a time zone ahead of me.
Yeah.
You're like a day ahead of me. So technically we picked it on the same date.
Yeah. Without
just
knowing
living
as well.
in the future.
Like, I didn't pick it and text you and be like, oh my God, I just picked this. You were the one who texted me. So if it was reversed, you would have known. But yeah, it was actually bizarre. It had gotten to the point in the year, that was one of my biggest goals for this year, was to start the Stormlight Archive. And it was getting, we're already quite a way into the year. And I was like, okay, Freya, do you want to be reading this in the middle of summer, or do you want to be reading it in the kind of cozy weather where you can snuggle down? And I was like, I think it's time.
Meanwhile, me in the summer.
I'm so glad we did though. Yeah, you decided to read it in the middle of the heat of summer.
Why? I don't know, but it was a good time. So we thought, because this book is, 1,258 pages, I think my copy is. We just thought it deserved a deep dive. Also, just a few fun facts about it and how epic The Way of Kings is. On Goodreads, this book has 628,000 ratings, and the average rating is 4.67.
That is insane. There are very few books I know that are that high of an average rating.
Well, fun fact. Okay, someone actually let me know in the comments of my reading vlog. The second book, The Words of Radiance, is actually the highest rated book on Goodreads for a popular book I think that has over 100,000 ratings overall. It has the highest rate, which is, I think it's 4.76 stars.
Oh my gosh, that actually makes me so much more excited to go into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy because I have heard that the second one is a lot of people's favorites. So I'm really excited to dive into that one.
Yeah, I'm like, how good can it really get?
Though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was already very, very good. We'll get more into it, but I was amazed. I was really blown away. I was like, how can a 1,000 page book really be that good? And it's the setup. It's not even the final book in the series.
I know, and yeah, that's the thing too, is that the next highest rated book on Goodreads is actually Kingdom of Ash, and it's a 4.71.
Yeah.
But that's the final book of an 8-book series.
Yeah.
So
and
how can
book's 300 pages, 400 pages?
Yeah, it takes time to build up to that rating. But the fact that the second book in the series is already a 4.76, that's making me really excited.
This is a whole new world for us. It's I feel like I'm just discovering fantasy again for the first time.
I know. Whoa, magic. New worlds. What is this? Multi-POV?
I know, right? It's more than 3 POVs.
Okay, anyways, we kind of went straight into The Way of Kings, but we do have to do our current reads, which we forgot about.
Yes. I am currently reading Wild Reverence, guys. When this appeared on my doorstep, I screamed and texted Jamie straight away because you guys have been here since the beginning of this. I was absolutely dying to read this because it's one of Jamie's top reads for a good while, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I am about, I would say, a third to almost halfway through, obsessed so far. Absolutely obsessed. And
yay.
I truly didn't want to get my expectations up too high. I was like, don't go in with massive expectations because it might not live up to it. But I swear to God, within the first 50 pages, I was instantly hooked, and it's such a mystical world that she's created, but it's got a little bit of mythology in there. Oh, I'm obsessed with it. I'm having so much fun, and I feel like there's even little elements I keep seeing little things that I'll talk to you about this after our podcast as well, but little elements that are kind of taken from mythologies from different cultures in a way.
Yeah.
And she's like taken them and put them into one in a sense, but like not directly. Oh, it's crazy. I love her mind.
I also really loved how it didn't feel like Divine Rivals, but it also felt like it was linked. Like it's not exactly the same because it is set in slightly different realms, you could say, because it's like, the god realms. But you can tell that it's like the mood is kind of like in the same world or universe,
and
I
it's
guess.
kind of like things that are happening in the god world. I'm like, oh, this is how it's affecting. You kind of already know how it's affecting the mortal world because we've got our Divine Rivals point of view. So yeah, I'm really liking it. And I feel like one of my favorite things about Divine Rivals was the world we were set in. So it's kind of nice to have a little bit of almost a deep dive into the world rather than the characters. I mean, I'm loving the characters so far, but I'm more fascinated with the world.
Yeah, you're making me really want to dive into a Rebecca Ross again because I haven't in a while. So, and it's it's like getting into fall here, maybe soon. So I'm like,
that is
perfect time. I
Maybe
need to pick up another one of her books.
Yeah, go into her backlog. There's a whole. I think we talked about that in a past episode. Whole bunch we haven't read.
Yeah.
But what are you currently reading?
So I am currently actually trying to hold on to those last rays of sunshine for the summer. And I'm reading Golden Girl by Ellen Hildebrand. So I generally do like her books. I love that they're like really summery. They're always like on Nantucket, obviously. But this one's like, it was unexpected. I didn't actually know what this one was about when I picked it up because like with Ellen Hildebrand, I just see her name and pick up her book because I just know that she'll nail that summer vibe. So I didn't even look at the summary at all. I was just like, Golden Girl, sounds cute, sounds fun. And I started reading the first page and realized it's about like passing into the afterlife, kind of.
Oh.
Which is not anything I expected from Ellen Hildebrand, but we follow I don't remember her name. I started this book yesterday, but our main character, she like passes away in like an accident and then she meets this like spirit guide who gives her a viewing window back to Earth that she can like see back on Earth for 75 days to give her a chance to, I guess, like get closure and like watch things as they like everyone lives on without her. And then she also gets like 3 nudges, they're called, that she can use to like alter things that happen if she like thinks that stuff needs to happen. And it's a way to like help her pass through and like become a ghost. I've just gotten into it.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's like the setup of it. And very different from any other Ellen Hildebrand book, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it could go either way, honestly. It could be amazing. It could be really, a deep reflection of self and everything.
Yeah.
Or it could just be kind of a bit like, what did I just read?
Yeah, I think it'll be one of those like feel good stories because I think that's what she likes to do. Like, because at first I was like, oh no, is this going to be like super sad? But knowing Ellen Hildebrand, I think it's going to end happy.
Yeah, okay. Well, as you said, hanging on to the last bits of summer, so hopefully it does.
I know, I hope so. This is also one of those books where I'm like, if I don't pick it up right now, I'm not going to read it till next year. So I just need to do it.
I'm doing the same with like big fantasy books at the moment. I'm trying to like, because I'm always more inclined to read romance and obviously romance in the summer. So with winter, I'm like getting in on my fantasies.
So getting back to The Way of Kings, we also want to just give you a little warning. We will be, for the most part, later in the episode, we will be talking about spoilers. So if you haven't read this book yet, you're still safe to stay with us for a little while as we give our general thoughts about the book, but we will give you a warning once we start getting into spoiler territory. So that's your sign to click off, read the book, come back to this episode when you're done. Just a little warning there. All right, so just a brief reminder for a brief summary of what The Way of Kings is about. We are in a war-torn land called Roshar. Pronunciations are going to be really hard.
Say straight. Yeah, I was going to say now, we don't know if we're pronouncing these things correctly. These are some obscure names and names of countries. So yeah, just your warning.
Yeah, I'm going to call it Roshar. So our main war, I guess you could say, is between Alethkar versus the Parshendi people. There are a whole bunch of other things happening and like different battles from different times and bigger picture things going on, but that's kind of like our main conflict. We follow, for the most part, three main characters. Our number one hero is named Kaladin. He, when he was growing up, was trained by his father as a surgeon. And then during this story, he is kind of going through this grieving journey over his brother who he lost in the war, and he is now a slave. Our second character that we follow is named Shallan. And her story is that like she is trying to seek a mentor to study under. She wants to become a ward, but her motives aren't entirely honest. And we're going to go deeper into every single character's plot lines as well, but that's kind of her general plot. And then Dalinar is our third character, sweet Dalinar, who is a high prince trying to protect the king, who is his nephew. He starts having these weird visions though, so everyone thinks he's starting to lose his mind, so he's starting to like lose respect within his people, and there's some struggles there. But those are three main characters that we're following in this just like really war-torn world. There we go. Do you want to try and explain the magic system?
Yeah. So I do want to say, when I went into, and I think it was similar to you as well, when we went into Way of Kings, we've both read the Mistborn series, and I just assumed because we're set in the same universe that it would be the same magic system. I was wrong. So in Mistborn we're based, it's kind of similar though. In Mistborn they conjure magic from different metals, from burning different metals. And in the Stormlight Archive, what we've gathered, I feel like we still are going to get a lot more about the magic system. I think we're still at the very tip of the magic system.
I agree.
But we are based around gravity and light, from what we can tell. Like you can kind of switch your center of gravity during a fight. Yeah, it's kind of, there's Stormlight that can give you kind of immense power from what I've gathered. It's kind of been used in a few different characters.
I think the Stormlight kind of acts like the metal did in Mistborn. Like it's the substance that you ingest and then release it as
usually doing
magical
like
energy.
A battle. I feel like Mistborn was almost more confusing, the magic system, than this one.
Yes.
But that's why I think we're at the very beginning of it, because I think we're going to see so much more of it.
I think there are a lot of different forms to use the Stormlight, but we've only
that's what I'm thinking.
We've only gotten into like one flavor of it, which is lashings and like defying gravity, kind of like changing the direction and source of gravity. That's kind of like the main concept of the magic. But yeah, you draw in this Stormlight that is a product of these high storms. So you charge up, I guess, during these high storms, or you like get the Stormlight and store it into like an object. It's like they put it in like these coins, and then you can like suck up the Stormlight from the coins, and then you can lash things. So you can be like, gravity is now up for me, or like sideways, or you can like stick things together and make things like lighter or heavier. But yeah, I think that's just the beginning of it, because there are other things that are already hinted at. So there's so much more.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we really only got towards the end, I do think we got a little bit more of it, but for a long while it was kind of only the one character that was, actually harnessing their Stormlight and using it. Whereas the others might have mentioned it a few times, but not till the end did we actually kind of see a few more people.
Yeah, the other characters, I think, were just kind of like vaguely channeling the Stormlight, but like didn't even know they were doing it. But there was like the one character,
who's kind
was
of
like doing it in detail.
Stormlight.
All right, moving on to writing style. I need to start this out with my chip analogy because I'm so proud of my chip analogy. If you've watched my reading vlog, you know what I'm talking about. But okay, here we go. Brandon Sanderson's writing to me is like a plain chip. There is no flavor. He's not like a barbecue chip. He's not like a salt and vinegar chip. He is not a cheddar chip. He is lightly salted at most, okay? I'm gonna take a moment.
Losing it over.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because His writing is very plain. There is not much like emotion behind it. He is just stating facts. But the chip analogy goes further, okay? Because the chip itself is fine. It's just there. It's a little crunchy maybe. But what makes the chip good are the toppings and the dip. So I call the toppings the characters, and I call the dip the world. So if you've got a really plain chip, you can dip it into a really lovely dip, which is the world, and you still have a nice tasty morsel. You can also put toppings on your chip, like the characters, and that also makes it even the more delicious. But the chip is there. You know the chip is there. It doesn't disappear into the background. You can still get the texture from it, but it's just kind of a vessel, a plain vessel to deliver these lovely flavors to you. There we go.
You know, as bizarre as this analogy is, like, I genuinely don't think you can argue. Like, you have laid it out as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, literally anyone try argue, you're not going to win.
I am correct with my chips.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of lost for words right now, so we've got to send her back. But I completely agree. I think, in a way, I'm not sure how his worlds would work if the writing was more lyrical or more creative. In a way, I think I would just be to the point where I'm like, okay, what is going on? Like, I need a little bit more clarity. I think that his plain chip style of writing almost complements the dip.
Yeah,
because the dip is so complicated. There's so many flavors.
Yeah, so if you've got a flavored chip, you could have like clashing flavors, and you could have a very conflicting medley of flavors and tastes going on in your mouth. You don't even know what to feel.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to start comparing like authors to chips.
When somebody new like clicks on your channel, they'll just be like, what is she talking? What is going on? And all the original people be like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, like Olivia Blake is like what? Like an olive oil, jalapeno, hot honey.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's got everything in there.
She's got a lot going on. Sometimes too much, not gonna lie.
Yeah, she could have some conflicting flavors in there.
Yeah. Okay. Writing style. Yeah, I feel like that pretty much sums up mine though as well. I think I appreciated, towards the end, I was just really appreciating how simple his writing style was, because I was so immersed in the story because of it. I was so in the world because of it. And I think sometimes with lyrical writing, I really have to really focus. Like, I can't be listening to music, or I can't be, having noise around me, because as soon as I get pulled out of it, I kind of have to re-immerse myself. And when you have an 1,000-page book, you kind of want to be able to get back in as quickly as you can. You don't want to have to reread the last page that you were on or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I do think it worked really, really well in Way of Kings. My question to you is, did you notice any difference in his writing style from the Mistborn series to the Way of Kings series? Because obviously Mistborn is technically like a YA series, and obviously this is adult fantasy.
Yeah, I think just overall, like the atmosphere felt a lot darker. I don't know, like technically if his writing was different. I also don't really remember exactly like the sentence structure of Mistborn, because I read it a little while ago, but overall it just felt darker, I think. And I also didn't get as annoyed at it because he really over-explains in Mistborn. And he does over-explain a little bit in this one. Hold on. I took a picture of a page.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to read it out loud.
I completely forgot.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, for those of you who have not read this book, there will be no spoilers in this passage. Okay, so this is a little segment where a character is using the little lashing magic in a combat scene. Damnation, Szeth thought, lashing himself upward with a quarter of a basic lashing. That didn't pull him upward, it just made him much lighter. A quarter of his weight was now pulled upward instead of downward. In essence, he became half as heavy as he had been. Why did it take 4 sentences to say that?
And can I just add, this is like a decent way in. Like, this isn't just the first chapter of this character. Like, we've got it. We know this character by now.
This is page 892. This is almost page 900, and we are getting basic like description of how this lashing works on page 892. And like I get there was like a little bit of a difference in this one because he didn't do like a full lashing, so he was just making himself lighter, but you can say that in one sentence.
No, 100%. I did start to get to that, and I think even if you hadn't pointed it out beforehand, like she didn't point out that specific line, but when we were talking, Jamie pointed out that she was like, oh, he's starting to like over-explain a little bit. And I think even if you hadn't said that, I would have noticed it in that specific point of view.
Mm-hmm. That was a whole paragraph. Like if you see the actual formatting on the page, it takes up a whole paragraph to do like explain this one little like gesture or like action, not gesture.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be that long. So that bugs me still. I will say, though, his writing style is quite flexible. Like in certain books, I think in his standalones, he kind of has more fun with his writing. Like in Tress of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, you can tell he's got like a little bit of spirit in his writing. Like he's having a little bit more fun with it. So he is capable of it. It's not like he can't do it, but it is like a conscious choice on his part, I think.
I think so. I think this was probably the most serious book I've ever read. And he still had little elements of humors in different characters. Like there was definitely little elements of his kind of humor that is very subject to him. I have noticed so in quite a few reads.
It's so him.
And it was nice. It was kind of refreshing to get that little, those little moments because it was it was such a serious book. There was so much going on. And yeah, I mean, we're in war times. It's an adult fantasy. So I feel like even just that sets enough of a, atmosphere for it to be very serious. So yeah, he does amaze me with his writing. You're right. I think how could he not? He's written the entire Wave of Kings series, and this is really just the beginning. Like, he's got so many books out there. It's crazy. I just can't wrap my head around it.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to read them all.
I can't wrap my head around it. We were looking at the reading order the other day, and we just kind of like, I didn't know this many. I was like, I didn't know this many books existed in the Cosmic universe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, me neither. And then speaking of reading order, what do you recommend anyone would start with if they haven't read a Brandon Sanderson book?
Look, I always recommend Mistborn just because I think it was one of his first series. If you're wanting to get into the Cosmere, which is where I would say like pretty much 90% of his books are set within this universe, I think it's a really great stepping stone. And it sometimes a little bit too much explains things, but it does explain things very well, and it's not very intimidating to get into, especially if you haven't really read a lot of high fantasy before, because it is a YA series. So I always recommend Mistborn. Although I have heard, and I can't comment on this too much, I have heard some people recommend Warbreaker as their first read if you want a standalone, because that's a standalone book. So if you don't want to jump into, a full series, then go with Warbreaker, which is going to be my next read. After posting my Way of Kings vlog, I had so many people being like, please read Warbreaker before you read book 2 of Way of Kings. And they were like, I wish I did. So yeah, I don't know, do with that information what you will. But I'm very much like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and get Warbreaker now before I get into the next book. I don't know. It's a confusing world. But yeah, I would always recommend with Mistborn.
I think that's a good place to start as well. I think like his standalones, I mean, I haven't read Warbreaker, so I'm not sure, but just in terms of like Tress or Yumi, which are the two standalones that I've read, I think they're good to start with in the sense that like they're not intimidating, but I also think that if you want to get into his Cosmere, as we've mentioned, they're not really representative of his usual writing style. Like they're kind of his side fun passion projects. I mean, they're all probably his passion project, but like you can really tell he's just like having fun with those ones. And so his writing is like a little more quirky, like a little bit more spirited in those ones. And like, yeah, I don't think they're like representative of his writing in his main series.
I think so too. So I feel like, yeah, that's a pretty good decision. I think start with Mistborn if you're wanting to get into his Cosmere. I think that's a great start. And also, I feel like it gives you a pretty good taste for his writing and his worlds. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, that's fine. And I feel like it's a pretty good taster. And I mean, once we've read Warbreaker, we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Still got to get to that one. And then also, I'm just curious, out of all of the Brandon Sanderson books that you've read so far, what is your like preference order so far?
I think I'll just do favorite. I cannot rank the books I've read by him because like so many of them I love. So I feel like I'm going to just do favorite and at least favorite.
Okay.
Because I genuinely, the middle is so blurred to me. I feel like the favorite so far is still Hero of Ages, which is the third book in Mistborn. I think I was just so emotionally attached to that series by the time I read it. And I kind of, I just was like left staring at the wall. I was just like, what did I just read and how did I just finish this? I will say I'm yet to go on to Mistborn Phase 2. I haven't read any of Mistborn Phase 2. So I am curious to see like those kind of few of our characters again in that series. I don't know for a least favorite. Do you have one that jumps to mind?
Well of Ascension for me, Mistborn Book 2.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, I quite liked that one. I feel like I liked The Final Empire less than Well of Ascension. I really liked
Really?
the second one. But I think we talked about this earlier in the sense that I read Well of Ascension a good like 6 months after I read Mistborn. So that kind of like the summary of everything that was going on was really helpful to me. Whereas if I had read it pretty close, I don't know if that would have hit the same.
Is that your favorite and least favorite?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's a hard question you sprung on me.
I'm sorry.
What about you? What's your favorite?
My favorite, I think, has to be The Way of Kings. I think it just has to be. My second favorite, very close behind. I actually like keep switching back and forth in my mind between these two, but my second was actually Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I really, really love that book.
Yeah.
I like really love it, but I just think like you can't compare them. They're such different books. Like you're looking at a little cute standalone
See, that's
compared
the
to
thing.
like this huge thing. Like how do you even compare them?
Yeah.
But anyways, number 1, Way of Kings. Number 2, Yumi and the Night Painter. Number 3, this is where it gets difficult. Maybe Mistborn Book 1. I always forget what it's called. The Final Empire.
The Final Empire, yeah.
And then The Hero of Ages, and then The Well of Ascension. My mortal enemy, I think, The Well of Ascension.
I find that so crazy because to me that was like cementing my love for the series.
We had very different experiences reading that book.
I know, it's crazy. I'm very curious to hear if anyone else like had similar experiences to you. Because to be honest, I haven't heard many people actually talk about the series like one book at a
separate.
time. Everyone kind of talks about it as a trilogy. So I am curious. So leave your thoughts down below.
Yeah, who agrees with me?
I'm going to put out a little spoiler warning because we are about to deep dive. So if you have read the series, you can stick on with us. I mean, even if you just have decided that you're never going to read the series, but you want a full deep dive, sure, stay around.
Why not? Yeah, stick around for the vibes. We're going to start with Kaladin, who is, in my opinion, probably like the main character of this book. Kaladin starts as a squad leader in Amaram's army. No idea how to say that name. But his character, he's just so protective of his squad. He recruits underdogs. He actually recruits one underdog in particular in the first chapter of this book named Tien. But this battle does not go well, and we don't really know what happened until closer to the end of this book, but all we know is it didn't go well, and then Kaladin ends up as a slave, unfortunately. He falls into this depression, and he is sold to the High Prince Sadius, who we absolutely hate, but he becomes a bridgeman for this army, which means he runs and carries bridges for the soldiers, and like they are just like the lowest on like the army hierarchy.
Can I just say I was so confused by what a bridgeman was. I was like, what are they doing? And the point is, I guess, that they're literally doing like the chores, like the really bad tasks. Yeah. Because I was genuinely like, what? They just like carry stuff?
Yeah, so they're charging into battle. The soldiers are like running. They're like getting ready to fight. And there are these poor bridgemen that are just carrying literal bridges, which like, what? And then somehow placing them across like chasms, like breaks in the ground so the soldiers can run over and like get to their battle. But this also like physically confused me because I never understood how they put the bridge over the gap, like without people falling into the gap. Like how did they just
maybe that's why, maybe they probably
it?
did, because I know that, you know how at the beginning they were just like, people die all the time. Like when Kaladin was meeting his, you know, his bridge team, they were just like, people are gonna constantly die on you. And so, I mean, I know obviously a lot of that was to do with the battles that they were literally going into, but that was probably my most confusing part when we were getting into the book. I was kind of like, what is your role?
I was very confused at these bridgemen because there was this like description where they like latched onto like under the bridge and like kind of clung onto it. So I'm like, are those people just like running across the gap? Like air running?
Yeah.
Like latching onto the bottom of the bridge and just hoping they don't fall?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do we even know how deep these little cracks in the ground were?
Yeah,
like,
they're really because at one point they're like, inside the chasms and they can't. It's not tall. Like they can't like climb out of it, so they're very high. I think they were like 40 feet high at some points.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, yeah. So okay, yeah. I'm not really sure how they're getting the bridge across. I feel like that was kind of for the amount of over explaining that was done for other things. I feel like that was left quite to your own imagination.
That's what we need. Okay. Anyways. We went off a little tangent there for the bridgeman, but back to Kaladin. He's a bridgeman. He meets Syl, who is this little Tinkerbell. That's what I always call her because she is, but she's like a type of a spren, technically. But Syl doesn't know what she is either. Everyone's just kind of confused and like no one knows why she's just appearing like with Kaladin. But Kaladin, in the meantime, falls deeper into depression and he tries to take his life. But he gets pulled back from Syl. She helps him out of it. And then from there, Kaladin decides to take charge, lead Bridge 4, become like kind of a squad leader again, and like try to train them as a proper unit. So they are no longer just vulnerable bridgemen. They are now actually trying to like get the job done in an efficient way and trying to keep all of them alive. He starts trying to find ways to heal and treat wounds of his crew, but also bridgemen are supposed to kind of die in battle. They're supposed to be like used as bait kind of, so he has to keep everything hidden from his supervisors because if they start seeing that they're like succeeding and stuff, they get mad at him, and they actually do notice in one battle. So they leave Kaladin out in a high storm. That's his punishment, and they're like, if you survive this high storm, you'll be cleared of all charges, but it's very likely you will just die. And so Kaladin has this near-death experience, but he survives. And one of his men realizes that Kaladin can actually draw Stormlight in to heal himself quickly. After this realization, this takes a long time. This takes like hundreds of pages. But he starts slowly discovering his powers while he's channeling Stormlight and like trying to use them to also help his little bridge crew. Bridge 4, we love you. At this point in the story, he starts trying to make a plan for himself and Bridge 4 to escape. One day, however, a battle starts where High Prince Dalinar and High Prince Sadeas work together to try and like defeat the Parshendi at the tower in this big tower battle. This battle starts, but as it's like going on, Kaladin notices that Sadeas and his army are retreating and betraying Dalinar, which was this, this moment made me so angry. But
so angry.
So Sadeas leaves Dalinar and his troops to essentially die and lose this battle. But Kaladin ends up disobeying orders. Him and Bridge 4 return to save Dalinar and his troops. And then at the end of the book, Dalinar, as like a thank you, frees Kaladin and Bridge 4 in this very, very epic way. And then at the end of the story, Kaladin accepts an offer to serve as captain of Dalinar's personal guard. Wow. That was a big journey. That was
an incredible summary.
Thank you. That was long.
I feel like he's definitely one of our, actually probably not one of our most complicated characters. But a lot goes on, and I think we're about to see so much more of him. I mean, I feel like this is like only the very beginning. Now that he's the captain of Dalinar's like guards, and you know he can harness Stormlight and everything. I feel like I'm so curious to see where he's going from here.
Yeah, and he's only started to discover his like magical abilities. So like I don't think even we know like everything that he can do. So he's going to go through this like big magical journey, and he's going to be so strong. Can I also just say I absolutely loved the found family in his storyline.
In Bridge 4?
Why? Like, no one told me about this. The thing is, if someone told me that this book had, like, such a strong found family story, I may have picked it up a little bit sooner, but no one told me. Like, I thought this was just gonna be this, like, horrible war-torn, like, story. But we have, like, the best found family in Kaladin's, like, journey, and I love it.
I'm kind of questioning why that didn't cross my mind at all, because I feel like in Mistborn there is definitely a good sense of found family.
There is, yeah.
And I feel like Brandon Sanderson's almost, I know a lot of people associate him with creating great found families. And so I don't know why that didn't like connect the dots in my head that there might be a really great found family trope in this one.
Yep, didn't even think of it, but like love them. And it's one of them, like it just kind of sneaks up on you because like you meet these characters one by one kind of slowly, and like you kind of like don't maybe like them very much at first, but then it's one of those like all of a sudden like you're just like, oh my gosh, I love everyone, and you care for everyone so deeply, but they're in this like such a high stakes situation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What did you think of the flashbacks that we had? So during Kaladin's story, we get flashbacks to him as a young boy and his kind of progression to becoming where he is now. And he was going to take after his dad and be a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And then life happened.
Oh, poor little Cal. Okay, side note. I was talking to another one of my friends who is currently reading this book, and she read part 1 of this book and then took like months break between starting part 2 because she saw like the different POVs, and she's like, I don't want to do this. I just met these characters. I don't want to say bye to them yet. So she took a break, and then she went back to part 2, and she didn't realize Cal was Kaladin. She thought it was a different character. Oh, no. So she was reading through this entire thing like with Kaladin's flashbacks and just being like, who is Cal? Why is he here? How does he fit into everything? And then I don't know, like at one point she was finally like, oh my gosh, this is Kaladin as a child.
That is so fair though, because there are so many. I think I had one instance where, who was it? One of our characters was courting someone called like Jalana or something. You saw her for like 3 chapters max, and then she disappeared. And it was just kind of, I don't even know if we actually met her. It was just kind of mention of her. And I thought that was, oh my gosh, I'm looking at her name now so that I can.
It was like Jasna versus like Jelena or something.
So I thought that was Jasna. I think it was like Jelena or something like that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I just looked at like the J and the A like end. I don't know, but I like completely, because we didn't have a lot of Jasna when she was mentioned, so I mixed up those characters. So I kind of get how easy that would be.
Yeah, because Jelena, I don't even know if that's her name, but Jelena was the one that
it might not be.
Adolin was like courting for a little bit, but then like she's very different compared to Jasna, who actually. Someone commented on my video saying it's actually Yasna.
Oh, okay. That makes so like European almost. How it's J's are pronounced It's like a Y.
Back to Cal as a child. I thought it was really good they included his backstory. And I like how like it was kind of told out of order. Like we saw how it affected him first in his adulthood and then like flashed back. It's one of those like, it's so much more emotional when you see how it's affected them first before hearing about like the past days. Like it's one of the stories I think if it was told in chronological order, it maybe wouldn't even hit as hard. Like,
yeah. And it makes his kind of morally questionable state of mind make sense. Like you kind of, feel like at the beginning I was like, I'm not sure on you. Like I don't really know. You kind of give me weird, like conflicting vibes. And yeah, the more we learnt about his childhood and how many people he's lost and everything, that, yeah, it gave so much depth to his character. I feel like that was done really well. I really liked the layout of that.
Yeah, I think I also, that's just like a theme that I really appreciate in this book too, is like the whole like moral choices. Like all three of the main, well, not more than the three, like all of the main storylines, like all of our characters were like struggling with this like moral imbalance, like kind of throughout the entire book in different ways. But yeah, like a big theme was just like, how much do you sacrifice of yourself to save others, or like how much do you sacrifice that person to save that person, like whose lives are more valuable, and like how do you choose that?
Yeah, no, I think so. And that was really interesting, seeing all of our different characters kind of fight those moral dilemmas. It was kind of their little personal inner battles that they were dealing with on top of everything else that was going on. That did make my hearts kind of break for them a little bit. I was like, can you guys catch a break?
I know. And like
especially Dalinar. I felt, oh my god.
Dalinar. But like Kaladin too, like he just kept like putting himself directly in the path of danger to save everyone else, and it was all for his brother.
For his brother. And so at the beginning, that's why when we had that beginning chapter with Tien, or we're hoping that's how you pronounce it, I was kind of like, what is the relevance of this? Like, why did we get this chapter? And it wasn't till later in the book when they were like, he reminded him of his brother and he wanted to be able to save him, that I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Because that first chapter, and then we had a massive time jump, like it was like 5 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I was
something like
what?
that.
Why and we'd already had so many time jumps before then. We'd had like 4,000 years or whatever, and then we just kept getting different characters, and I was like, I am struggling at the moment, but it made everything wrapped up quite well.
Yeah, so interesting too that like, now that you're reminding me, the chapter that we meet Kaladin isn't even in his point of view. We meet him from another person's point of view who is meeting Kaladin for the first time. So like that is such an interesting way to introduce the hero of your story. Like not even like just jumping straight into their POV. Like you meet him literally as a stranger, which I guess like makes sense. Like that's why it works so well, because you meet him as a stranger and then you slowly get to know him. But that was definitely like an interesting, but I think a really good choice.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, like it really didn't, like those characters that we meet him from their point of view, well, it's one, I guess, but we kind of have another character on the side. I can't think of his name right away because he was only in like the one chapter, but they're only brought up like 2-3 times after that chapter.
Wait, the one that our POV 1 was in, or POV 1?
Yeah, it was POV 1. I'm struggling to remember if it was in Tien's point of view, or was it in his like Kaladin's like kind of helper in his army?
No, it was Tien, or Tien's point of view. Yeah, because I remember him being like, "Whoa, like that's our squad leader. He looks so young." Yeah, and then he like peed his pants. Poor
it's
boy.
So sad.
All right, we're gonna move on to Shallan, our second like main POV. So Shallan is the daughter in a noble but declining house. Her father has passed away at the beginning of the story, so she travels to Kharbranth to seek mentorship, but she's kind of got a sneaky ulterior motive. She wants to become the ward under Jasnah. Oh, damn it, Jasnah. I have to get used to saying that the right way, who is actually a heretic princess scholar. But her ulterior motive is she actually wants to steal Jasnah's soul caster Fabriel. Like, she meets Jasnah. She gets rejected. She gets rejected over and over and over and over again. But Shallan keeps trying to find these like little clever ways to kind of stay near Jasnah's orbit to finally like get her attention again and convince her, like, I am going to be your ward. I'm going to study under you. So she finally gets her attention, gets accepted, and she starts studying like all of these subjects like history, philosophy, politics. But there's one exercise that they go out on, and Jasnah kind of displays this violence that Shallan is like, oh, I don't like this violence. Why did Yasna just do that and like kill people to show me like a lesson in philosophy? So she starts getting like really conflicted with Yasna and how she likes her. At this point, she's been struggling. She's like, oh, do I steal her soulcaster or not? Because she's been starting to like grow fond of Yasna. But after this one violent incident, she's like, you know what? I'm going to take her soulcaster. She doesn't deserve it because she's like mean and violent and whatever. So she takes the soulcaster and she starts getting these weird visions as she tries to like learn how to use it. One day, however, she accidentally soul casts and she almost gets caught. And this is this whole dramatic incident, very bloody. And then after she's healed, Kabsal, who is another character who I haven't mentioned, but Kabsal has been like, he's like a, what are they called? They're like priests, but they're not priests.
Yeah, no, the word is like literally just gone from my mind as you said that.
Like he's sort of this like holy person in this like holy group.
Really
I can't remember the word. Oh no. But they've been kind of having this little like flirtation with each other throughout the entire story. Kabsal at this point brings bread and jam to Yasna and Shallan because Shallan has been like enjoying this bread and jam with Kabsal. They all eat the bread. Very important. They all eat the bread. Yasna sniffs the jam but doesn't eat it. Kabsal eats the jam, but it kind of tastes wrong. It tastes very acidic. It does not taste like strawberry jam at all. And then Kabsal immediately falls to the ground and he dies. Shallan
that kind of
passes out. Yeah, it was kind of surprising. I was like, oh. Actually, I kind of knew it was going to happen. Like once Yasna was like sniffing the jam and stuff, I was like, ooh, something's going on.
He's an ardent, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
An ardent, that's the word. Perfect. Okay. So anyways, Kabsal's dead. Shallan passes out and now has to reveal to Yasna that she's taken the soulcaster because Yasna needs the soulcaster to save Shallan's life. And we leave their story on like a 400-page cliffhanger because we skip to part 4 and we don't get back to Shallan's point of view until like, 300, 400 pages in the future. In this reveal at the end of this book, we see that the bread was the culprit that, poisoned Kabsal, but he was actually the one who put the poison in the bread. The jam was supposed to be the antidote, but Yasna didn't get poisoned because she actually soul casted her own bread before eating it. So she ate an unpoisoned piece of bread because she basically changed the chemistry of it before she ate it. Jam was the antidote, but it was revealed that also like the jam didn't cure Kabsal because Yasna also soul casted the jam when she sniffed it. Big twists. Lots of big twists. And this I thought was like a huge plot hole while I was waiting for like that 400 pages to get back to their point of view because I like really like distinctly remember Yasna eating the bread and like I was just screaming. I was like, why didn't she die? And then it took a long time for me to get the answer, but for the longest time I was like, aha, like I found a hole in Brandon Sanderson's book. I was like, I found a plot hole and I was so proud of myself. And then I realized it was not a plot hole. There was 400
pages later.
There was indeed an answer for it. It just took a long time to get there. At the end of the book, Shallan does decide to end up studying, like continuing to study under Yasna. They kind of like, what's the word? Reconcile with each other at the end of the book. Yeah. They're like, you know what? You're fine. We can continue studying with each other. And so that's kind of where like their arc leaves.
I loved the ending. I feel like it left me with so many questions.
Let us know. What are your questions?
Well, when she realizes that like the being able to soulcast without the soulcaster, I feel like that was a moment when I was like, I don't know, I just got shocked by that. I was like, wait, I don't know these characters as well as I thought I knew these characters.
Yeah.
And then there was that last little moment where Shallan realizes that her dad had like a similar, I think was it a tattoo or something, to one of the groups that they've been researching.
Yeah.
Like there was a connection. I feel like there's so much that's going to happen in the next book. Like I can get why. I just feel like it's going to be so good because I'm really curious to see where their story goes from here.
Yeah,
And
from what I hear too, I think Shallan is like the main hero of the second book, like how Kaladin was the main
oh,
hero in this one. I think Shallan has like a really good arc in the second book. This is what I'm hearing from people.
okay, that's good because I feel like I was a little bit iffy about her for the first few parts actually. I feel like it wasn't till the third part I started to get a little bit more intrigued, and then the fifth part, obviously everything happened.
Yeah.
And that's what really made me like enjoy her point of view a lot more and be really curious to see where that's going to go. What did you think of, what were your thoughts like whilst reading?
I think I enjoyed her chapters more for Yasna. Like I found Yasna to be like interesting, so I liked seeing her in Shallan's point of view. But yeah, I think a lot of their story was just like studying philosophy, which helped you understand and like take more meaning from the rest of the book, I think, because the stuff they were studying was literally applied to everyone else's point of view. Like in Kaladin's story, Dalinar's story, even their own story, like you kind of got the theory in the Shallan chapters, and then you saw it applied in Kaladin and Dalinar's chapters, which I found like an interesting way to like tell that story and like get that meaning across.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I feel like their point of view applied, a lot more to the rest of everyone else compared to like, I feel like it was not until the end that a lot of our characters started intersecting. But I think there was Easter eggs throughout Shallan's point of view that related to, our other characters and like the worlds that were set in as a whole, which was kind of fun. I feel like that added a little bit of sense of like hope that everyone was going to meet up at the end.
Yes.
And that there was going to be like an intersection. I was kind of like picking up on these little bits, being like, come on, like I'm ready now.
Yeah, like little bits, like, I mean, we haven't gotten to Dalinar yet in this deep dive, but
it was
like
very much
like little parts of like
story.
the people in Dalinar's point of view, like writing those like letters or like whatever they were called, sending texts to Yasna.
Yeah, literally.
And just like a lot of communication between like those two. And yeah, I was just like waiting for everyone to intersect.
And I mean, they didn't even intersect towards the end of our story. Like, we're still waiting.
No, it was the other group. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was kind of surprising. I thought it was going to be those two, like Dalinar and Shallan's story that intersected first. But yeah, it surprised me.
Yeah, I think like once I realized like with Kaladin and Dalinar's stories intersecting, once I realized or like made the connection that Kaladin was in Sadious's army, that's when I was like, ooh, like that's gonna happen. Because Sadius and Dalinar were so linked.
I mean, I guess we'll get into that more when we talk about Dalinar. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many thoughts about that. Hang on. Yeah, I'll wait until we've done Dalinar's story.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead.
And then I'll get into that. Because I do think, it ended in a way that there were so many ties, and I have so many questions about how that's going to be explored in the next book. And it kind of made you excited, like the giddy feeling you get when all your characters start connecting more and more, and he did that so slowly throughout the book. Like it wasn't until I wouldn't want to say until like halfway through at least that we realized Kaladin and Dalinar were like more connected.
Yeah, and like maybe they'd meet.
Yeah, that was a slight possibility.
Yeah. For the longest time, it was like, what are all of these separate stories doing?
Yeah. I feel like especially Kaladin. I was like, why is he here? Like he's
where
a
are
great
you?
character, but how does he relate?
But yeah, I think overall, like Shallan's story, is going to get very interesting in the next book. But for this book, it was a lot of just setting the basis of themes, like with the philosophy, with the history, and also with her passion in art. Throughout the book, you get these little illustrations in between chapters, and most of them are drawn from Shallan because she is like a very good artist. And I found that like really helpful because you could actually picture things like the little creatures and even like maps and diagrams of where you are. Like you got pieces of those throughout the book through Shallan's art, like physically, like visually in the book. And I really, really loved that because there was one creature that was, I forget what it was called. It was like something, I pictured it like as a dog with like multiple legs at first.
Which one was it?
I don't remember what it was called. I probably should have looked this up. But it was like it was like a dog. It played fetch, but then Shallan drew it.
Yes, I know.
And it had like antennas, or like it was like a little bug or something.
Yeah. It was almost like an insect type situation.
Yeah.
No,
but
I
with
know
a
when
dog
you said play
personality.
fetch.
Yeah. But that's definitely helpful because I typically do have trouble like picturing things like that. So love that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Dalinar.
Can we just have a moment for Jamie's like narration of this, because I literally just said off camera that she is so good at summarizing things, and so a moment of appreciation.
We're going through it. Okay, so Dalinar's story. He is the High Prince. He is also the uncle of the king and also the brother of the previous king Gavilar before Gavilar was assassinated in prologue number 2. So Dalinar is this character who really, really prioritizes like honor and this code. Like he's just like a to the book kind of a guy. He's like really stand-up citizen. But he starts getting these like visions during the high storms of these ancient radiants warning him about the scary Voidbringers, which are very mysterious. These visions also are telling him to unite them, quote unquote, who is them, we don't know, and also to trust Sadeas. Something else about Dalinar is that he's really into the book called The Way of Kings, which is also the title of the book we are reading. But The Way of Kings in this fictional world is a book by an author named Nohaden. And this is a book that his brother, the previous King Gavilar, actually gave to him before he died. So he really lives by like the philosophy that is in this Way of Kings book. Throughout all of this, like, you know, whatever is going on, Dalinar's people and like everyone he's around is starting to lose respect for him because he is getting all of these visions and everyone's thinking he's like losing his mind. Everyone also like doesn't like that he sticks to this code because it's like very old fashioned, and everyone's like, we don't follow those codes anymore, but Dalinar like sticks by it because Gavilar told him to. So Dalinar has this rivalry with Sadeas, who we hate, and they're both kind of like fighting to become the king's favored high prince. The king is constantly being worried about being assassinated because his dad Gavilar was assassinated, and so Sadeas uses this to sneak higher into the king's favor. Adolin and Renarin, who are Dalinar's sons, are constantly warning Dalinar about Sadeas, and they're like, you can't trust him, he's sneaky, he's gonna like backstab you. But Dalinar is like trusting his visions, and he's like, my visions are telling me to trust Sadeas, so I'm gonna trust him. But his sons are like, don't do it. Side note, Navani returns, who is actually Gavilar's wife and also Dalinar's sister-in-law. But Dalinar and Navani have also had this like romantic history that they're also like kind of low-key rekindling in this book, and it makes me all kinds of uncomfortable.
This is very Game of Thrones-esque.
Yeah, it's like, sure, sister-in-law, let's go.
That's my one complaint about this. I was like, why was that needed?
Yeah, could have done without that. But anyways, Navani, while, you know, they're rekindling their little romance, is also helping Dalinar sort out his visions, and they're trying to figure out if they're real or if they're just delusions. Then comes the big battle. So this is when Dalinar and Sadeas ally and plan this huge battle to take out the Parshendi. But at this battle, of course, as we mentioned, Sadeas betrays and leaves Dalinar and his troops to die. Kaladin, who we love, jumps in with Bridge 4 to save him, and then you know the rest. We've already gone over the rest of this plot.
Yeah, that's when they finally meet each other and intersect, finally.
Yeah. I was so excited. When it was like announced that Sadeas and Dalinar were like fighting this battle together, and I was like,
yeah,
it's gonna happen, you guys.
So my big question is, did you see the betrayal coming from Dalinar? Yeah, no, me either. I was kind of like, I don't want to say I was rooting for Sadeas, but like I was kind of like, you know, maybe he's not as bad as like I'm just wanting to believe Dalinar at this point. I believe in your visions. I'm all for the visions.
Yes.
I don't think you're crazy. That kind of thing. And then when he betrayed him, I think that's a moment in my vlog where I'm like you did not just do that.
I put full faith in those visions. I was like, I am trusting these visions 100%. I am a vision believer. But, you know, like when I think about it, maybe that was bound to happen. Like Sadie, like he had to trust the visions for Sadius to betray him, for Kaladin and Dalinar to meet. And that's what needed to happen because the two of them are going to be a power team together.
Yeah, exactly. Like, an act of fate almost.
Yeah, so like it sucks and like, made me so mad. But like that it was meant to be. It had to happen that way.
Yeah, and there was also part of us, I feel like me personally, I was like, I'm shocked by this, but like it was more the fact that I was just wishing it wouldn't happen that like shocks me so much.
I know.
I was kind of like, it's not that left field. Like,
I was worried for Dalinar's life during that battle. I was like, is he gonna like not gonna make it? Is he gonna be the one?
There was like, you know, at the end of one of his chapters, and of course then we went to like 3 other point of views and we didn't get back to him for a while, but it was like as he went into battle, he was ready to die, basically. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, are you serious?
Are you going to die right
so
now?
Annoyed. And also, I wouldn't put it past him. Like, I wouldn't have put that past him. I don't expect anything from Brandon Sanderson. The amount of times he has shocked me with character deaths, I am just like, anything could happen. So...
I'm honestly surprised at how, like, you know, everyone survived in this one.
Oh, literally, I'm like, all our main characters are still alive.
Yeah,
we're
like,
probably gonna like do a stitch to this when we read the second one and just be like, so
everyone's gone.
Yeah, we have a whole new cast.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's always it's always hard to trust him, honestly. But I loved Dalinar's point of view. I think in the beginning I wasn't sure. I was kind of like, you're a little bit crazy. But then I just started to feel sorry for him, and I was like, you're tugging on my heartstrings right now. Like, I need some good to happen to you right now.
I was just annoyed at the king the entire time in Dalinar's storyline. I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, you little child, which I think he actually is quite young.
He literally is.
And he's gone through a lot. But like, as a character in a fantasy book, I was like, I have unrealistic expectations for you and you need to act better.
He was just like constantly in fear of his life.
And the whole like,
and then I also,
the strap thing. I was about to say, I was like, oh my goodness, let's like get over this whole strap thing.
I actually loved that scene though. I loved how Dalinar was just kind of like almost like threatening his life. Yeah. And like genuinely like terrifying him. And then it's like, no, I love you like a son. Like, it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yes, like you go, Dalinar. But yeah, I love Dalinar. I think he was a great character. Yeah, the only thing I like didn't love about this plotline was the whole Navani sister-in-law romance thing.
Oh, that was just so not needed.
They could have just been friends. Family.
I know, right? And to be honest, she was a pretty good character by herself. Like, yes. She was the one who was trusting Dalinar's visions, and she was the one who's like, we're going to prove this. She genuinely like helped so many people kind of get out of their little situation, like kind of help them unite a little bit. But then you just add the little romance and I'm like,
why?
Okay. That's always going to be one for me that I just can't deal with. Any kind of semi-relation, and even if it's not by blood, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Not into
what do you think? What do you think of him losing his shard blade or giving it away to Sadius at the end?
I think he's got a plan.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I think he was so much older than everyone else. Mm-hmm. Which I think is going to be a big advantage to him because he like knows the way of kings so well and everything like that. I don't know. I just feel like it kind of shocked me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't expect it, but there's something about showing not really kindness. I don't know what you would say, like not mercy, but kind of like killing with kindness, if you know what I mean. Like, yes, he just betrayed him.
Yeah.
But it almost just shocked Sadius. He was like, I don't, like, yeah,
Sadius was like, expected.
Yeah. And I kind of really appreciate that when characters don't go all petty and like seek revenge and everything and kind of just step up to be the bigger person. And I'm curious to see, I feel like there'll be more depth into that as to why that was a choice for his.
Yeah. Like on one hand, like I'm just kind of sad about it because it felt like the character losing their powers trope in a way, because that was like his weapon. Like, what is he going to do without it?
Yeah.
And, like, maybe he'll get it back, but I don't think he will. I think the whole purpose, like, I think he's going to take kind of this more, like, advisor role, like, maybe, and, like, step back from the action, which is what his entire story was sort of, like, moving towards and hinting towards.
But I think I kind of am okay with that because he's, like, the older, wiser character. I think he could play a really good role in that. And I think if we get magic from other characters like Kaladin and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be, and I do think his son is going to step up a lot as well.
I think so.
I kind of hope. Like, he was a little bit annoyed at him. I was like, just trust your dad. He knows better.
I know. All the sons were annoying in this book.
We've only got kind of 2 more little characters to go over. Szeth was our interlude character.
Yeah, so Szeth was probably the most confusing character for me because we only saw him through like these interludes between all the parts very, very briefly. But so his plot summary is a little quicker, so we can get through this one. Szeth is the truthless of Shinover, which basically means he's an assassin and he's bound by this oath stone. So whoever owns or like is holding this oath stone, Szeth is bound to like obey them. So Szeth is, at the beginning of the book in the prologue, he is the one who assassinates Gavilar loudly. His orders by the Parshendi to assassinate this Alethi king are to do it like very visibly. So that's what he does. He's very horrified at what he's doing because he's kind of just like killing everyone along the way, but he's bound to obey, so he has to. So the Parshendi, after this assassination, end up selling him to another owner. So we follow him as he works under these new masters who live in Ya Kaved. That's how I'm going to say it. And they use him for just like more political killings. But the big reveal happens at the end of the book when he realizes that this entire time he's been following these orchestrations by King Teravangian, who is the king of Kharbranth, this entire time, this is this shocking revelation because the king, the king has been known to be this very like peaceful, benevolent king, but then we find out at the end that he's actually been manipulating all of these assassinations behind the scenes this entire time. So I think we're going to see more of this in the future books. It's another one of those things. But yeah, Szeth's storyline to me was like probably the most confusing for this book.
But also kind of one of my favorites. Like, I found it really interesting, the whole, he's an assassin bound by like the Oathstone. I found that really interesting. And the fact that he genuinely doesn't want, in a way, to be doing this and doesn't want to be killing this brutally.
Yeah.
But he has no choice. I mean, I just kind of kept wanting him to break free. Oh, and then the ending when he's sent to go after Dalinar, I was like, oh no. Also kind of excited because I was like, great, we've got another intersection coming. But yeah, I didn't really see that one coming. I thought he was going to be sent after the king because he's been assassinating kings in the past. So I was like, is he going to like assassinate another king? And I don't know, because like who would step up at that point? Yeah, I didn't really see Dalinar coming, to be honest, but it kind of makes sense. Like, he's the brother, so makes sense.
Yeah, and another really interesting like theme with like the whole like moral choices thing, where like Szeth literally cannot make choices, but in his mind he's like screaming like, I hate this, but he's bound to obey, which is very sad.
It was so sad. I felt really sorry for him, to be honest.
I know, I felt really sad reading about his chapters.
He's clearly so powerful, and that really intrigues me. I can't wait to see, because I feel like his chapters were so short, and it was, it was kind of the same situation in a way over and over again. And we did get a lot of over-explaining with the lashing and everything. But him as an actual character, I really liked, and I really want to see more of.
Moving on to our last character, we're going to talk about Hoid. The legendary Hoid. So, of course, Hoid is in this book. But, okay, his little mentions. His first mention was actually in a Szeth chapter where the people in Ya Kaved were just looking for someone named Hoid. And it was very casually mentioned. And they were like, oh, yeah, have you seen this person? His name is Hoid. And when that happened, it was so casual. I was like, oh, that's it. I thought that was going to be like Hoid's entire like participation in this book, but nope, he comes in again because there's a character named the King's Wit, or just Wit, who is a jester, and he just insults everyone and like mocks nobles. He's this really like random character that I was just like, is he just like comedic relief? I did not make the connection. But then later in the book, we find out Wit is actually Hoid. Wit then, or slash Hoid, like goes around like spreading wisdom to our characters basically. So he appears in Kaladin's storyline as a traveling storyteller to like teach him about leadership and responsibility and kind of like nudge him in the right direction. He also crosses paths with Shallan, actually as Wit, and he tells her like all of these like crazy things that like a normal person wouldn't know, and Shallan's just like, what the heck? Who are you? How do you know things? And then at the end of the book, isn't the last chapter a Hoid chapter? And then he sees the radiant, like the herald or whatever coming back, and he's like, desolation is coming. And it's like this big like, oh no moment. But yeah, that's Hoid in this book.
Honestly, I loved Hoid in this, and I kind of thought as well that we wouldn't be seeing much of him. And there was one sentence towards the end when somebody asked, I think they asked Dalinar or somebody where Wit had gone. They were like, where did Wit go? And he said something like, I don't know, he just disappears. Wit's an odd character.
That's so
and
Hoid
I was like,
of him.
That just, I know, makes so much sense.
From what I hear, Hoid does have, like, he plays a huge role in the Stormlight series, like a bigger role than he's played in, like, the rest of the Cosmere. But he's still just this, like, very mysterious character to me. I don't really quite know what he is exactly.
Just a little bit odd. He's just there.
Yeah. I have heard, though, that Hoid will have a book. There's, like, an unpublished book called Dragonsteel that is actually Hoid's book, but it's, like, not canon yet because it's not published. So at some point in the future, Brandon Sanderson's going to, like, finish this Dragonsteel book and publish it, like, traditionally.
That would be so much fun.
That's going to be Hoid's book.
That would be so much fun. We love when there's just, like, one character that connects everything. Oh, that was something else I was going to say as well. I found out that I got told actually that the interludes are kind of little, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. The interludes are little appearances from other characters in the Cosmere.
Oh, like cameos.
Yeah, cameos, that's the one. So they're not necessarily very present in the Cosmere, but they do appear in other areas, which I thought was fun.
I need like an encyclopedia to like keep track of all of these connections. There probably is like there's probably like a wiki out there, like a
there
Cosmere wiki.
So to wrap it up, who was your favorite point of view, do you think?
It has to be Kaladin in this one. Like he was just the star of the show for me. It was a close race between them, but like Kaladin, like between like the found family and his journey and like Syl and everything, his flashback like Syl child scenes, like he just had like all the ingredients to a story that I love. So he's my character. Who's yours?
I think it's pretty close between Dalinar and Kaladin. I really liked Shallan later, but as a whole, I did really like Dalinar's kind of point of view. So I don't know. I'm a little bit torn, but I love them both. They both have aspects that I really enjoyed.
And I think they'll all like have their little moments where they shine as we like continue to read the series too. All right, so that does bring us to the end of our Way of Kings wrap up. This was a really long episode. We've chatted a long time, so I hope you enjoyed this one. We're looking forward to reading the second book. Maybe when we both get to it, we could do another deep dive if you enjoyed this episode, so let us know. So if you are still here, listening here to the end, thank you for being here and listening wherever you are in the world or whatever time zone you're in.
Until next time, stay comfy and keep reading.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on socials for more bookish content.
Bye. See you next time.